In the worldwide war against crime, there are men and women trained to sink their own identity in the international underworld. They work alone, in danger and in shadow, unrecognized by friend and enemy alike. They are the operators of the almost legendary Ghost Squad.
Morning, Suzanne.
Oh, Mr. Tobias.
He's done it, Joe.
Who's done what?
David Masters. They found his body this morning.
So he's killed himself?
Yes.
I always said he was the sort who might. Well, I suppose we couldn't expect to get much more out of him. Anyway, now we've got nothing to worry about.
Mostly routine reports, Sir Andrew. I penciled some of the main points. And you asked me to remind you about sending a reply to Interpol.
Interpol? What about?
Tobias Tours. You remember the death of that German millionaire, von Tailman?
Yes, I remember distinctly. It was officially accidental, but some people thought it was suicide. He'd become very depressed. Didn't his family say that the change dated from the time that he went on a vacation with those coach tour people?
Yes. Here's the Scotland Yard report.
Yes, yes, well, there's nothing very much there. I'll draft a reply. Darned odd all the same, you know, a man like von Tailman killing himself. Why should he do it?
The odd thing is that another very rich man has just done the same thing. David Masters.
David Masters? Why wasn't I told?
It's in the morning papers.
I haven't had time to read them yet. Get me a report immediately, Winters.
But it doesn't make sense, Craig. I knew David Masters well. Worth a mint of money, not a worry in the world.
You mean you don't think he committed suicide?
I don't know what I mean yet, but I'm determined to find out why he should do it. All right, Craig, get busy. Start with his office.
I'm sorry to bother you with these questions, Miss Connor, but my company has a big interest in the matter. Mr. Masters was heavily insured, and I'm here to get at the facts.
I understand.
Now, you say this was a sort of man who enjoyed life, but his manner changed recently. Did he seem at all worried?
No, not really.
What then?
Well, it's silly. It may not mean anything. Mr. Masters wasn't married, as you know. He had lots of friends, but never anyone special. And then a few months ago, he sent an expensive present to a young woman. It was the first time I'd ever known him do it.
Is that all?
No, he started to take half days off. He never told me where he went. You see, I always knew where he was. Always. It was only these visits he kept to himself.
Visits?
Oh, well, appointments, I mean.
And who was the young woman?
Kent. Suzanne Kent.
Do you know where or how he met her?
He wanted to take a holiday where we couldn't reach him by phone. So he went on a coach tour of France. A very exclusive tour. She was, well, she was the hostess.
Do you know the name of the firm?
They were called Tobias Tours.
I've checked on these tours, Sir Andrew. Very specialized for very rich people who like collecting. They run 4 or 5 a year and lay on the works. Visits to private collections and so on. Everything top drawer.
And it costs a fortune.
But a fortune. A seat on that coach tour costs as much as a seat on the stock market.
Where does this lead us? The two immensely rich men both go on Tobias tours. One dies mysteriously and the other commits suicide. Winters.
Yes, Sir Andrew?
Will you get on to Paris? I want the full dossier on von Tailman. Craig, will you check up on this Tobias firm, especially that hostess girl?
Yes, that's the girl. She came into the office once. I remember her distinctly.
Thank you. These are her employers. You recognize them?
No. No, they mean nothing to me.
I didn't think they would. You said he gave this girl a present, an expensive one. Have you any idea what it was?
Yes, it was jewelry.
Does this mean he was interested in her?
Not necessarily. He was interested in stones. He collected diamonds as an investment.
Oh, he did? Oh, can you give me a list of his purchases?
No, impossible. You see, he had a confidential account in a bank in Switzerland, which he used for his collection. That's all I know.
I think I found the pattern, Sir Andrew. Look at this. Precisely the same interests as Masters.
Jewels. Swiss bank accounts. Excellent. I wonder. Maybe they were both wide open for a swindle, possibly followed by a little blackmail, eh?
Possibly, but how?
The Tobias firm's run by two brothers. Didn't you tell me they'd been living it up?
Well, they're spending a lot more than they did last year.
Before von Tailman went on this tour. You're in luck, Craig. You're going to have a little trip round France. Right?
Right, Sir Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Durand. It always seems to me like such a lot of money, but I don't suppose that worries you.
Not at all. What's it cost? Only a few hundred sheep. And who cares about a few hundred sheep?
Not me. I hope you'll be comfortable while you're with us. I shall be looking after you personally.
Oh, you will?
Yes, I travel with the coach's courier. Yes? Oh, he's right here. Certainly, sir. If you'll come this way, Mr. Joe Tobias would like to meet you. Mr. Durand from Texas, sir.
Ah, Mr. Durand. How do you do, sir?
How do you do?
Do sit down.
Thank you.
Well, you took us rather by surprise. Normally, we book well in advance, but fortunately, we had a vacancy.
Well, I'm sorry about that, sir, but I got in town just a couple of days ago.
It's no trouble at all. Now, we like to give our clients individual attention, and I read a newspaper clipping that you're interested in modern painting.
Well, I've got quite a collection back in Dallas, sir.
Oh, well, we'll fix you introductions to some dealers.
Fine. That's what I call service.
Good morning. My name is Karolidis.
Oh, yes, Mr. Karolidis, we are expecting you. Do sit down. I'll just go and get your travel documents.
Are you, going on this trip, sir?
Yes?
So's the gal. Might be quite interested.
Gal? Oh, I see. Yes, I quite agree with you. It could be interesting.
Do you play poker, sir?
No, I'm afraid not.
Oh, that's too bad. We could draw for it, 7-card stud.
Who was that in here just now?
One of the customers. Rich American sheep farmer from Texas. Name of Durand.
I thought you and I never met the customers.
We don't. We keep out of sight. This was an exception. I just wanted to check on him.
Check? Why?
He booked to the last minute. I was just being cautious. He seems to be all right. I know about him in the newspapers. Now, take a look at this one. Take a good look, George. Now, that's our man.
That's Karolidis.
Sure.
Well, that's everything. The coach leaves at 10:30.
And you'll be on it?
Yes.
Then so will I, without fail.
I've got a feeling about this job. It's a bit soon after the last one. I don't like it much.
Why not? This is the richest mug of the lot.
Maybe. I don't know. Still, if you're sure it's okay.
Mr. Karolidis' papers, sir. You wanted them back.
Oh, Suzanne. Our friend Karolidis is interested in precious stones. Make sure he meets Caspar in Paris.
Of course, sir.
About this American, Durant.
Oh, what about him?
I think I'll ask Charlie to keep an eye on him. Just in case. Well, all set.
Just about.
Is there anything else you need to know?
Oh, I've seen the passenger list. They're the same as all the others.
This Durant. We don't know too much about him. They don't usually book so late as this, so you better watch him.
You leave him to me.
Listen, if it gives you any trouble...
I'll think up something. I'll get my moments.
We've just passed through Pontoise. We'll be in Paris in half an hour.
You know Paris well?
Very well indeed.
I've never been there. This is a great evening for me.
First time in Paris. Lucky you. There's no place like it.
Are you doing anything this evening?
I'm not supposed to answer that question.
Well, then, why don't we, you
Miss
and I...
Kent?
Oh, just coming. Excuse me, Mr. Durant.
Hey, Carolides, over here. Sit down. Can I buy you a drink? Waiter, what would you like to drink? How about a mint julep?
Oh, sounds fascinating. But if you don't mind, I'll have a cognac. Une fine, s'il vous plaît. Why, enjoying yourself?
Why not? This is Paris, ain't it? You know it well?
Oh, I go here half a dozen times a year, but I'm always too busy to enjoy it.
What brings you on a conducted tour?
Worrying about too many business deals. My doctor says I must get away from it all. So I thought I'd try this.
Well, I've had a look around the bus. Dull bunch, don't you think?
They're rich. They're seeing France the soft way. And why not? Of course they're down. Except you and me.
And the gal.
And the girl.
I'd say she knows her way around.
I say so.
Maybe I'll get her to show me Paris tonight. After dinner.
Have you arranged it?
Not yet? Why?
You're too late. I have. Better luck next time, Durand.
Monsieur?
Can you make me a mint julep?
In Paris, monsieur? That's what you like.
You know how to make one?
But naturally, monsieur.
Well, I'll have a beer. I've changed my mind.
Don't you find the, what do you call us, customers, a little tiresome?
Not all of them.
Mademoiselle,
Monsieur Caspar.
how enchanting to see you. Are you in Paris for long?
Only for a few days, and then we move on. Oh, Mr. Carolides, Monsieur Caspar.
Monsieur.
Monsieur?
Monsieur Caspar is an expert on diamonds, among other things.
Really? Diamonds are a hobby of mine. Sit down.
Thank you.
What are the other things?
Oh, objets d'art and precious stones of every kind. I've got quite a collection here in Paris. You must see it sometime.
I'd like to. I'd be very interested indeed.
You are perhaps a collector.
Oh, I don't collect. I use them, shall we say, as a security against inflation.
I understand. You can't go wrong, can you? You know, I might be able to help you. Are you going to go to Marseille during this trip?
Yes.
Good. I'll give you an address. This man is a bit of an eccentric, but very reliable. Go to him in the evening. You're bound to find him alone then. And after all, the evening is a very good time to strike a bargain. Voilà, monsieur.
Thank you.
And now I really must go. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Mademoiselle, au revoir.
Good night.
And bon voyage.
Thank you.
Well, would you like to go somewhere else now?
Yes, I should love to.
Good.
"34 Rue des Églises, Marseille."
Marseille. It's my favorite place in the south.
Well, why don't you show me around? Or am I too late?
Try again tomorrow.
Put me in your little book for Nice.
All right, that's a promise.
Meanwhile, I better get to know Marseille. Where do I start?
Oh, try the old harbor. That's the place for local color.
Great.
He's harmless. Looks a bit like one of his own sheep.
What can I do for you?
I'd like a watch.
I haven't got much of a selection, monsieur. Most of them are not for sale.
Oh, everything's for sale if you put down enough dollars. Yeah. That's nice. How much?
Sorry, I was not intending to sell that.
Well, that's where you're wrong, mister. When I make up my mind I want something, I don't take no for an answer. I'll give you $600 for that.
Very well, monsieur, since you are so insistent.
Now, don't bother to wrap it. I'll take it as it is. A fair price for a nice little trinket. Good night to you, sir.
Good night, monsieur.
Do you know who that was?
Just another tourist with more money than sense.
He's on the present coach tour. That's Durant.
Durant? What's he doing snooping around here?
I don't know. Maybe he collects watches. Anyway, it's nothing to worry about. Well, if there is, we'll have to fix him, won't we?
Well, this is my lucky night. I've been looking all over town for you. Don't tell me that Greek Romeo walked out on you. May I sit down?
Please do. He took me to dinner, talked about the stock markets, and then brought me back to the hotel. And then said he had to go off and do some business.
What kind of business?
I have no idea.
It wouldn't be with either of your bosses, would it? One of the Tobias brothers.
But he wouldn't have any business with them, surely. Anyway, they're in London.
Are you sure?
Well, that's where we left them, isn't it? Why do you ask?
Oh, just curiosity. It doesn't matter. Have some coffee. Waiter.
Where did this come from?
I won't pretend it came into France officially. A colleague of mine bought it in Algiers. He felt a better price might be got for it here.
How did he manage to get such a stone?
No doubt it was smuggled up from the south. So it has no history. It's quite safe.
Need to be cut?
It's no problem. If you want it done here, some of the Amsterdam houses have places in Nice. Or you could wait till you got back.
I'm going to Nice. Could you fix me something on the coast there?
Nothing easier. If you would kindly leave me your address.
That's settled then. Now, how about the price?
16 carats, uncut. Shall we say, $100,000?
Intriguing. You'd require cash, of course.
From a friend of Monsieur Caspar, that would not be necessary.
A check on the Bank of Switzerland?
Entirely satisfactory.
there. You finish your business?
Very successfully, thank you.
Well, join us.
Thanks.
You look happy. Probably just bought another gold mine.
I bought something much more delicate. Like to see it?
Sure.
Well, what do you think of it?
What is it?
A diamond, but uncut. That's why it doesn't look so exciting.
You're holding a fortune in your hand. You just bought it?
Yes, and at a bargain price.
Good, very good. You mind my asking how much?
That's a fair question. How much do you think?
What's it weigh? 18, 20 carat?
That's not a bad guess. 16.
10 when cut. All right. 200 grand in dollars.
You're wrong. 100,000.
You'll be robbing widows and orphans next. Why, it's worth twice that. I'd say there's not much history behind it.
I'm not worried. It's too big to have been stolen. It's quite safe.
Very disappointing for all that money. Well, let's celebrate it anyway.
Celebrate for me. I'm a bit tired. I think I'll turn in.
Well, don't leave it lying around in your baggage. Carry it on you.
Good night.
We are now on the outskirts of Nice, and we'll be stopping at our hotel in 2 or 3 minutes.
Am I gonna like Nice?
You'll find it a lot of fun.
Well, not on my own. What are you doing tonight?
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm going to the casino with,
Beaten again. I'm disappointed.
Tomorrow night's free.
Well, you got yourself a date, man. You're doing all right, aren't you?
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Did I say you've got a date with that Greek?
Yes, he's taking me to the casino tonight. Jealous?
No, not jealous.
Then why ask?
No reason. No reason at all.
You brought me luck. It's the first time I've won in my whole life.
That's the lady. Give her this. I got a feeling it's going to be my lucky night, too.
For me, thank you. Charlie's ill. The driver, you know.
Oh, what's the matter with him?
I don't know. But I shall have to go back to the hotel. Do you mind?
Of course I do. But I mustn't stop you. I'm expecting to meet a man anyway. Shall I get you a cab?
No, please don't bother. And thank you for a very profitable evening.
Pleasure.
Excuse me, would you be Mr. Carolides, sir?
Mr. Van der Gast?
Yes.
Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Please sit down.
Thank you. Well, I suggested we meet here because it's so public that it's quite private, if you know what I mean.
Thank you. Yes, quite an amusing place to spend an evening. You're in the diamond business, sir.
In the business? Van der Gast? Well, the family's been in Amsterdam since the 17th century.
You must forgive my ignorance. I'm not actually in your trade, you know. I just collect a few stones here and there.
That explains, of course, why you don't know us. Now, what exactly is it you're looking for?
It's quite simple. I bought a stone from Scapin. Well, I did ask him where I could get it cut, and he suggested that 1 or 2 of the Dutch houses are represented down here.
That's right. We get down here several months a year. It's not really for the trade, you know. It's for the sunshine.
I quite understand. Would you like to see the stone?
Certainly. Thank you. This is a very fine stone.
That's what I thought.
Could I ask what you gave for it?
100,000 in dollars.
I see. Then we must assume that it entered Europe Shall we say through the back door?
But by the time it's cut,
By then, it'll be perfectly respectable.
just as I thought.
$100,000. Tell me, what would you say to an immediate profit? I could give you $175,000. I still do well.
Why not? I'll agree to that.
Good. Now, are you in Nice tomorrow morning?
In the morning. In the afternoon, we leave again for Marseille, if our driver has recovered.
Oh. Then in the morning, we will meet at my bank and make the arrangement. I'll give you the address here. Ah.
In the morning, then.
Good night to you, sir.
Good night.
Monsieur Cavalidis.
Yes?
You want to see me?
You better come inside. You are from the local police?
That is so, monsieur.
What can I do for you?
You sold a diamond to a Monsieur Vandergast in Nice.
That's right, I did. What about it?
Where did you get it from?
From a jeweler here in Marseille.
The address?
34 Rue des Églises.
And his name?
Scapin.
Scapin. Would it surprise you to know that this item came from a parcel of stones stolen in Paris a fortnight ago?
It would surprise me very much indeed.
You had no knowledge of this?
No, none at all.
Then I think perhaps we'd better go to see this jeweler.
I quite agree with you.
I trust he remembers the incident, monsieur.
"34 Rue des Églises. This is it?"
Yes.
Oh, this has changed. The shelves were full of clocks. There were curtains there.
Monsieur?
Your name?
Lagarde. Monsieur l'inspecteur.
A tailor, obviously.
Yes?
This was a jeweler's. I was here. I saw it for myself.
Monsieur deceives himself. I have been in this shop for 20 years.
Those shelves were full of clocks. This desk was over there. Scapin the jeweler was sitting at it.
Well, he's not sitting there now, monsieur. Is there a jeweler's in this street? No, monsieur l'inspecteur. I would know of him.
Yes, of course. Well, monsieur? I don't know. To a certain extent, police action will depend on whether or not Monsieur Vandergast wishes to prefer a charge. I think we'd better go to see him.
Is he here in Marseille?
Oh, yes, he has a place here on the coast. Merci, Monsieur Lagarde.
A pleasure, Inspector. A pleasure.
I'm sorry about this. I checked on the diamond mill as routine. Well, obviously my friend here is not to blame. The fault rests with this jeweler he got it from.
He doesn't exist, monsieur.
What do you mean?
There is no jeweler in the Rue des Églises. Number 34 is occupied by a tailor and has been for the last 20 years.
That's impossible.
That's what I told him. It was a jeweler's. I was there. How could I make a mistake?
Do you imagine a man of Monsieur Carolita's position is going to involve himself in the theft of a few diamonds?
I only know that he's been selling stolen goods and can't tell where he got them.
But I have told you.
About this imaginary jeweler? With a point of tedium.
Oh, look, Inspector, see it from our point of view.
That's most difficult, monsieur. I'm a policeman.
Listen. The police have recovered some stolen property. Now, I'm quite sure Monsieur Carolides will pay me back the money I gave him for the diamond.
Of course. Naturally do that.
Good. Then that disposes of the matter.
Well, I shall have to make my report anyway. How long are you going to be in Marseille?
3 days.
Very well. As long as you repay Monsieur Vandergast, you may assume that no proceedings will be taken unless you hear from me. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. Monsieur?
That could have been very awkward. Although no sane person would believe that you had suddenly turned criminal.
But there is no smoke without fire. Is that what you mean?
Exactly. However, everything's going to be all right. Now, what did I give you for the diamond?
$175,000 in dollars. I said you could have it back.
You won't mind giving me an extra 50?
You're asking $50,000 for nothing?
No, not for nothing. I have lost a profit. Besides, I got you out of trouble.
Very well. I agree.
By the way, there's just one other thing. I might ask you to sign a statement of what's happened, just to clear my own name. It would never be used, of course.
I might even do that.
Your check.
Of course.
Thank you. Well, I'm sure you've heard the last of a most unpleasant business.
I can assure you I haven't. I have 3 days in this town. I propose using them.
Oh, how?
Among other things, I'm going to find that jeweler. Good night.
I don't like his manner. He should be worried, and he isn't.
Does it matter? That tailor's paid to keep his mouth shut.
I could unbutton it in 5 minutes, and so can Carolides.
Yes. Perhaps he could.
Oh, I don't like this trip. And I don't like this job.
Well, there's nothing to worry about.
Oh, isn't there? I've been jittery ever since we caught that Yank snooping around the shop. Now, how do we know he's not onto us? How do we know he isn't a cop?
Oh, be your age. Does he look like a cop?
I'm not so sure.
All right. So we could be in trouble. Very well, we'll handle them both with one operation. We'll get rid of Carolides, and we'll look after Durant at the same time.
How?
We'll leave that to Charlie.
How's that little bauble of yours? Still burning a hole in your pocket?
No, not at the moment. Have some coffee?
Thanks. Have you sold it yet? I bet you got a fat profit for it if you have.
I've had a fair offer for it. Yeah.
So good an offer that it even interests a police inspector?
What do you mean by that?
Look, my friend, I may be just a simple guy, but I've got eyes and ears. I saw that cop flash his papers, and I can tell when a man's worried.
You're either very well informed or very observant. What else do you know?
My interests are the same as yours. Suppose you start talking.
Well, that's as much as I can tell you. Of course, you don't believe it.
I'm going to surprise you. I do.
I'm glad. I wish the police could be as easily convinced. See you later.
Well, what happened?
The job's done.
How? I thought you didn't like those sort of details. How about Durant?
I've looked after him, too.
Monsieur Durant? Oh! Petro! Petro!
Miss Kent? I'm sorry to disturb you in the middle of the night, but I understand you're in charge of a party of visitors.
Yes, I am. These are the travel documents for the party. I thought you might want them.
Mademoiselle is wide awake even at this hour.
Well, why have you called like this, Inspector? What has happened?
You're Mr. Karadides. He was found dead in the hotel here.
What?
Yes, he was murdered.
Oh, no.
Now, I see you've got Mr. Durant's papers here, so that's all I shall want.
Well, what has Mr. Durant got to do with it?
It was in his room the body was found. I'm sorry, mademoiselle, to bring you such distressing news. But tell me, can you think of any reason why anyone should wish to attack Monsieur Karadides?
Well, he was rich, very rich. Was he killed for his money?
No, it wasn't robbery. His wallet was in his pocket with a large sum of money.
Was there a big diamond, uncut, in a little bag?
No, there certainly was not.
Then there should have been.
Why?
Well, he had one. He was carrying it on him. I saw it.
A real one?
I think so. Mr. Durant said it was.
So he also saw this diamond?
Yes, he examined it.
Who else saw it?
I don't think anybody did. We warned him to be careful.
We?
Mr. Durant and I.
I have checked your remarkable statement.
Good.
My men have carefully examined the shop in the Rue des Églises.
And what did they find?
It is not a jeweler's, monsieur, and never has been.
That's what I told you.
It is what you told me. Yes. You say this place was created by the people blackmailing Karadides. Not an easy story to accept, monsieur. And I'll tell you something else.
What is that?
This police inspector, Desgrange. Now, you've heard his name, and you've seen him yourself, yes?
I've seen him, all right.
We have checked very carefully, monsieur. There is no such police inspector in the whole of the Marseille prefecture.
Of course there isn't. Don't you see? It was all part of their frame-up, just as I said.
I should find it easier to believe in this frame-up if it were not for the next fact.
And what's that?
I have taken the trouble to check your passport, monsieur. It is a fake. There is no such person as Monsieur Durant, the wealthy sheep farmer from Texas.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I've called for an urgent report from Paris. I can only hope for your sake, monsieur, that it will give us some satisfactory explanation.
Yes. That's all right. I must have dozed off. Yes, you had this inquiry from Paris. Well, we can tell them nothing. This man's a year away from the guillotine, so we can't break security. We don't know that passport. And as far as Durant's concerned, we've never heard of him.
Hello? I'm speaking. Uh-huh. That is very interesting. Thank you. Yes, I will keep you advised of any developments. That was Paris, monsieur. Your passport was not issued by a special department in London, as we had first thought. It is a simple forgery.
Not a forgery.
Be that as it may, monsieur. I am not a connoisseur in these matters, neither am I a diamond expert. You will see that Monsieur Durant has such courtesies as we are able to afford him. Wait.
Now what?
You are in luck, monsieur. A letter from Karolides supports your statement.
It does. He was writing a letter the last time I saw him.
It's quite simple. He was concerned for his safety, so before he was killed, he posted a letter to the police telling us exactly the same story as yours. And this letter I have now received.
What does that mean?
It means that I am your ally.
You are? Fine. Now, the first thing you can do is put me in jail officially. That'll make these people think they're safe.
What is it, Inspector?
As you're in charge of the party, mademoiselle, you should know Monsieur Durant is in custody.
You mean you're holding him? Oh, surely not.
He has not been charged. Not yet. I think your employers should come out here to protect their interests.
Oh, I understand. Yes, I'll cable them at once.
In the meantime, Monsieur Durant has asked if he may see you. So if you have no objection, I'll take you to him.
Yes, I'll come right away, just as soon as I've sent the cable.
Good. Good. You will mount guard outside. Do not be alarmed, mademoiselle. My men will be within earshot.
I'm not alarmed, Inspector. I wish I could help you. I can't believe you did this.
Of course I didn't.
How do you explain the fact that he was killed in your room?
The body was found in the room. It's not at all the same thing. I can explain that easily. The people who were out to get Karolides were also out to get me.
What people do you mean?
Your employers.
But they're
That's
only...
why I asked to see you. I wanted to make up my mind how much you were involved.
But what are you talking about? Involved in what?
2 suicides, 1 murder, and an unknown amount of blackmail.
I've just had the London office on the line. The local police down here have been trying to get hold of us.
What do they want?
Well, they think we ought to be out here protecting our interests.
They couldn't be more right. You know that Durant is inside?
Yes, I know. He's no problem. Charlie, you'll stay here and look after the coach. And you and I will present ourselves to the police as a couple of hard-working businessmen down from London.
I don't like seeing policemen.
Don't you? I shall quite enjoy the experience. Now.
Oh, really, Inspector? We rush all the way over from London only to find a madman here who says that I'm not Joe Tobias, but some fantastic diamond expert, and Graham is a shopkeeper who doesn't even exist. Well, honestly, I've never heard such a story in all my life. What else have you to say?
Plenty. But not in front of these 2 hoodlums. Except I saw you the night before last in the Nice casino, offering Karolides a fancy profit. All part of your ingenious blackmail routine.
I would advise you to be very careful what you say, Durant.
I know you, too. I was in your shop.
Inspector, I know nothing whatever about this shop. The man's mad.
Oh, honestly, Inspector, can you confirm any of this? I mean, is there such a jewel as he keeps raving about, or is it all part of some fantasy?
We have examined the shop, monsieur. It's a tailor's.
Ah.
Now, I need keep you gentlemen no longer. I'm very grateful to you for calling, and I'll keep you advised of any developments.
You're very courteous, Inspector. And I hope you dispose of your case without any undue worry.
Now, believe me, it is as good as disposed of already. Good day. Oh, so much for them. What about the girl?
No, she's all right. She's in the clear. She sent your message on. But what do you think about them?
But for a letter from the dead man, I should believe them. The problem is, how do we break them down?
Well, I think I know the way.
Inspector, I'll do anything to cooperate, but what on earth are we doing here?
An experiment, if you'll be so kind. This way. All right, you were.
Now, this, gentlemen, is the place where the whole swindle started.
According to Monsieur Durand.
That's absurd. This man's obviously a tailor.
Yes, this is my shop, monsieur, as I've already told the police.
You know better, don't you, Graham?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The desk's the same, isn't it? This was where you sat when you were pretending to be a jeweler, wasn't it?
You're mad.
No watches in here. Still, I wouldn't expect you to keep the stuff on the premises. The showcase is the same. But where are the watches, Graham?
What watches?
Now, look, Inspector, it's quite obvious that my brother knows nothing about all this.
What do you do with the watches, Graham, when you're not using them as a lot of phony props? Where are they? You bring them in for each new victim, or do you keep them here?
You'd hardly expect to find watches in a place like this.
I will, Graham. I will. Think. Haven't you overlooked one? Haven't you forgotten one watch?
This is ridiculous. I've done nothing.
Yes, you have. You've forgotten something. You've forgotten a watch. Just one little watch.
I've forgotten nothing.
Think, Graham. Think. What about the watch you sold me? This watch, Graham. See how I've kept it, Graham? Nothing's touched it. Recognize it, Lagarde?
I know nothing. I know nothing about it.
Drop it. Fine. Now we'll have your prints on that as well as the watch. You made a mistake when you helped Graham switch the room around. You fingered this watch.
I never touched it. He always does it. He comes in early and takes the shop over.
Charlie, right, you, Inspector, open that door. Order your men round the back. We're going out this way.
Cover the back of the shop.
Now, back over there. I've covered him, Charlie. Now, Inspector, your gun. Take it out. No tricks now. Throw it on the counter. I said throw it! Right. Get him out.
Well, I have seen such shooting before, monsieur. Not only in westerns.
Well, Inspector, remember, my passport did say I was from Texas. Oh. Don't look for Lagarde's fingerprints on this. Look for Graham's. I just figured the tailor would break quicker.
Right.
Really, Craig, you spent a devil of a lot of money on this coach trip. I don't know how I'm going to justify all those expenses. Still, I'll stretch a point this time.
Thank you, Sir Andrew. You didn't seem very anxious to stretch a point when I was in trouble with the Marseille police.
What do you mean?
Well, they nearly had me on a murder rap. When they finally got through to London, you didn't trouble to bail me out.
Good heavens, what are you talking about? You know the way these Frenchmen work. It'd be at least a year before they got you to the guillotine. My dear fellow, I wasn't the least bit worried.
You would?
No.
Well, I must say that is a relief, Sir Andrew.